So if you're just starting out, the first thing you want to do is to check to see if Python's already installed on your computer. The way you do that is open up the terminal and try running Python. To open up the terminal, you're just going to hit Command and space and start to write the word terminal and hit enter when the option comes up. From there, all I'm going to do is type the word Python in the terminal, and I can see that Python 2.7 is already installed when I type the word Python. However, we don't want to use Python 2.7 in general. We don't want to use anything that's below Python 3. The most current version is Python 3.95. So what I'm going to do is as you can see, I have three little arrows right here. That actually means that I'm in the Python prompt currently and no longer in the regular command prompt. So I'm going to type exit to leave this Python command prompt. And now I'm going to type Python 3. And when I type Python 3, you see that Python 3.9.5 is already installed. And you can see I'm currently in Python command prompt. That's why I see the three little arrows. So great, Python is already installed on my computer. In many Macs, it already is installed. You may need to upgrade it to the latest version. In order to upgrade, what you do is you just go to python.org and you click download and then follow the instructions. It's pretty self-explanatory once you download it. After you download it and install it by following the instructions, you should be able to open up Python in your terminal here. Now, something to note about Python. So we can actually do coding here. Okay, we can print, for example, right? We can do whatever, 2 plus 2. And we can actually do Python right here in line in the Python interpreter. What we want to do is code someplace else because it's not very convenient to have to write every single line of code every single time. So we're going to actually code in a web browser. It's a very easy user interface, great for beginners, very beginner friendly. So we're going to use what's called a Jupyter Notebook to code in the browser. And so let's install that now. So what you're going to do is you're firstly going to open up an environment. Now, why is it important to have a virtual environment in Python? Well, because you can install packages, delete packages, do whatever you want, and then when you're finished, you can just leave the environment. So it protects your system file system, your actual computer file system, and it allows you to make changes, install packages, and everything in this virtual environment. So that way, if anything goes wrong, you can just delete the virtual environment and start over instead of having to potentially damage your hard drive. It's a great beginner-friendly way to safely code without potentially causing damage to your computer. So let's set up the virtual environment. The one that we're going to use, and there are several different ones, this is just one that I choose to use, it's called pipenv. And so the way I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to type pipenv and see what happens. Okay, when I type it, it's going to give me this command, it's going to give me some help file. That means that pipenv is already installed on my computer. Most likely, if you're just starting out, pipenv is not on your computer. So let's go ahead and install that now. So I'm going to use the pip command. It's a package installer, basically. So I'm going to use pip install pipenv and hit enter. And then we're going to let it run. It's already installed on mine. If your computer does not recognize pip, right, most times Python's going to come with pip, but if for some reason it doesn't recognize pip, then make sure you install pip. And for that, just go ahead and look at the instructions online. They have very clear instructions from the pip website on how to install pip. From there, you can just do pip install, any package, and you'll be able to install it like that. So now that I have pipenv installed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a virtual environment by running pipenv shell. And now I can tell that I'm in my virtual environment because you see here I have this parentheses my username in parentheses be in the beginning. So that way I know that I'm working within the pipenv environment. So now I can do now, for example, my Python, when I type just regular Python, it defaults to Python 3. In this case, it's Python 3.8. That's okay. But the important thing to know is that when I type the word Python, it actually gives me Python 3 and above in this particular environment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install another package called Jupyter Notebook inside this environment. To do that, very simple, pip install Jupyter, hit enter. Again, it's already installed on my computer, so it's going to be very quick. Yours may take a little longer. Once Jupyter has been installed, I'm going to launch Jupyter by typing Jupyter Notebook. And that's going to take a second to launch a local server on my machine, and it's going to launch the web browser, and it's going to show me the different Jupyter notebooks that are available. All right, so now I'm going to come to New and open Python 3, and this is a Jupyter notebook. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and choose one that's already open. I'm going to choose this emotion detection example. All right, so this is a Jupyter notebook. All right, so what you can do here is you can actually write code inside here. In this case, I'm actually doing a, what's it called? An emotion detection API. So the emotion detection is called FER, facial emotional motion recognition. That's what this stands for. And CV2. CV2 is a image processing package. So import those two, import this file right here, this image right here, and then I can actually do my code inside here. So let me show you another example of things that you can do. So I can write 2 plus 2 and hit Shift Enter, and it's going to give me the thing below here. All right, for each in, let's make a little, a list right here. My list equals, 1, 2, 3, 4. For each in my list, print each one. And I'm going to Shift Enter, and then, oops, got a little error here. Oops, didn't define that one there. In order for the code to register, you need to actually hit Shift Enter or run that cell. And you can see all of the things print out right here. All right, so here's a way where you can enter all your Python code, and you can actually work within the browser instead of having to work inside your terminal, which some people find kind of uncomfortable and cumbersome to have to try to code inside the terminal. So that's it for this tutorial. I wanted to show you guys a quick way to install Python and create a virtual environment, and then how to install and launch Jupyter Notebook, where you can then continue your journey to code by working inside this notebook instead of having to work inside the terminal. Thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe and like this video to follow along and learn more Python tips. Talk to you soon.